Debate number one, the India-Rio report that highlights the cause, effect, but totally hides the cause. Now, let's talk about, say good evening to our panelists first. Ashwini Nachappa, former athlete. We've got plenty to share with our viewers this evening. Ashwini, in just a bit. Saath bin Jung, Kishore Bhimani, Ashish Balal, good evening. And also good evening to Captain PVK Mohan, President of the International Billiards and Snooker Federation. Chandan Roy Chaudhary, Honorary General Secretary, Bengal Olympic Association. S. Raghunathan, former President of the Indian Kayaking and Canoeing Association. So you have the administration officialdom on one side, and you have the athletes, former Olympians, and those who are wanting to hold a torch out and highlight the issues, the actual causes on one side. Let's begin with the real picture. This is the performance of the Sports Authority of India facilities as recent as 2015. And Ashwini Nachappa, you were there to do this entire survey across various facilities. Kandivali, Mumbai. Look at the condition of the rooms. Look at the condition of the regional center in Bengaluru. This is how athletes live. Look at the seepage. Look at no tube lights there. This is all jugaad which is happening on there. The geysers are exposed. They're all hanging their clothes all over the place. These are bunk beds. This is the Sai facility in Bhubaneswar in Odisha. This is the Sai facility in Badal and Mastan Sahib. Now, many more pictures. Lots to share with our viewers. This one is, we are getting it from Imphal. That's the one from Imphal, and there are pictures which will come even from Haryana. This is 2015. Less than about 8 months, less than a year to Rio Olympics, Ashwini. Let's look at this performance report of the Sports Authority of India before they try and talk about our athletes. Oh yeah, and Ashwini, talk about these. And when you get the report of all the officials, all the babus traveling business class. So business class for all of them, and then a 3-page performance report to the athletes while they get, this is the shoddy facilities at the Sai facilities. And they are talking about a performance report. How dare they? Ashwini.
Well, you know, this problem is not just of 2015. This has been a problem for quite a few decades now. Problem is, we have grown as a nation in various other fields, but our thinking as a sports culture is just not grown in the same manner. The sporting culture in our country is the last priority that anybody wants to give a thought to. I mean, we have traveled around the country as an athlete, around facilities, and I as an administrator have also traveled around countries. It's sad to say that, you know, though I've retired almost 2.5 decades back, the facility remains appalling. But we can't just blame the Sports Authority of India for it. The ministry as such must really take cognizance of what needs to be done, whether it's funding to run these facilities that exist there, the personnel that run it. There is, shortage of trainers in our country. It's a well-known fact. But are we really addressing these issues is a question. We talk about reports after every games. I would have liked to see a report which highlighted where we have failed, where the Sports Authority of India failed, where the federations failed, where the Indian Olympic Association failed, and where the athletes have failed. Which are these areas? Let us identify it. And then what are the solutions? A short-term solution, a long-term solution? That should be the basis of a report, of an analysis. Yeah. Not merely blaming the entire performance of the athletes only as, as a focal point.
Yeah, I've seen, Ashwini, I've seen your letter from the 21st of January 2016 addressed to the Prime Minister of India. You wrote in your letter, and I'm just taking some of the quotes so that those who are backing the report know what you and Olympian sports persons have been saying to the government, not just the government but the entire sports administration. You said in your letter, decades of poor governance, dramatic changes in world sport have rendered Sai, a moribund organization, not doing justice to the tremendous talent that exists in our country. And I want to ask this question to Chandan Roy Chowdhury, Bengal Olympic Association General Secretary, Honorary General Secretary, who's joining us on the show. Have you seen this report, Mr. Chowdhury? Have you seen this report? How is it any different from what we had after Beijing, what we had after the London Olympics, and how Indian sports has been treating athletes for the last 60 years?
No, I have not seen the report, but what I'll say that instead of finding out what is the fault in Rio Olympic, the one good initiative has been taken by the government. They have sent a letter to all participants, players, those who participated in Rio Olympic, to know their views about the
what have you done, sir?
Why they have failed.
What have you done, sir? Sir, did you travel? Did you travel, Mr. Chandan Roy Chowdhury?
Can the administrators?
No. I didn't travel, but I saw the newspaper.
Did you travel all across Bengal trying to build up interest in the Olympics? What did you, as Honorary Secretary of the Bengal Olympic Association, do to promote Olympics in Bengal?
I would like to say that it is a good initiative, but at the
sir,
same
what
time...
have you... I'm asking you, sir, did you run any... Sir, did you run...
May I ask him a question?
Yeah.
SAI is the main authority that they have failed everywhere. If I say...
Yeah, so as Honorary Secretary of Bengal Olympic Association, what's your contribution, sir?
That's what I'm saying.
What is the Bengal Olympic Association's contribution to the Olympic movement, sir, in India? Saad.
See, what movement we can do. It is all depends on the policy and the
No, what movement can you do? What do you mean by what movement can you do? What have you done to promote Olympic disciplines in Bengal? What is the initiative you have taken as Honorary Secretary?
We are definitely we have done in the last nationals.
How many people, sir? How many? What is the responsibility you took to in terms of qualifiers for the Olympics from Bengal? What is for which disciplines did you take responsibility on?
See, in the SAI, as you said, there is hardly any facilities there, infrastructure is there in the eastern zone. So how you expect that will...
So what have you done to highlight that, Manish? What have you done to highlight that, Manish? How many letters have you written to Mamata Banerjee?
I've done in last time.
How many letters have you written to Mamata Banerjee? How many letters have you written to SAI? How many letters have you written to the PMO, sir?
Mamata Banerjee has just come 4 years.
Yeah, so what have you... How many facilities have been built in the last 4 years because of your initiative?
Last 4 years.
Which sport, sir? Which sport is your focus?
Come up.
Yeah.
In football, that.
Which sport, sir? Which sport? Which sport is your focus? Football. Where is India? Where is India at the Olympics in football, sir?
No. It is not that.
So which other sports, sir? Which you are Honorary Secretary of the Bengal Olympic Association, and you are struggling to give me 4 disciplines where you thought your focus will be in the last 4 years.
We are trying to focus on.
Sir, this is the performance report that we need to put out. This is the performance record that we need to put out. Saad bin Jang.
Listen, please. First, the administrators, the first thing that you need to do to my country is apologize. You have failed us miserably on all accounts. So before you start talking today, please say we're extremely sorry. We messed up. We made a mistake. We will learn and we'll carry on forward. The second thing, Anand, I'd like to tell everyone today is that today is the first day that I'm actually coming on panel with someone who's represented my country, Ashwini Nachappa. I'm so proud to be here with her. I'm from a fraternity which is cricket, which, by the way, the board is responsible for the good or the bad. It doesn't go beyond that. Anand, the Olympics are the biggest sport, the biggest branding exercise for Team India in the world. And our bureaucrats are nothing but vice captains. It goes back, it goes right up to the Prime Minister. I'm sorry, but the onus for this has to be taken by the Prime Minister. He has to come in and take action. The President also should not think he's a ceremonial head of this country. Yeah. He must come in and this has to go right
to the Prime Minister has to take responsibility and onus, then the captain has to sack his entire team first. That's where it has to begin, Kishore Bhimani, because an honorary secretary of the Bengal Olympic Association struggles to tell me which are the disciplines that he pushed and what is the commitment he undertook for qualifiers from Bengal, in which disciplines over the last 4 years, between London 2012 and 2016, sir, Rio 2016.
Anand, may I make a couple of points?
Understand the fact, Anand. Let's first
may I make a couple of points?
This report, we cannot just blame the Sports Authority of India. This gives the Federation and the Olympic Association enough reasons to say we are absolutely clean. the Sports Authority of India to even manage these officials of the federations and the Olympic Association is a big task in itself, because we know the kind of people that is involved in it.
That's exactly before we come to Sai, we're talking about the individual federations, because we've got representatives across federations. Ashwini. Yes, Kishore Bhimani. Yes, Kishore Bhimani.
Yeah, okay. Anand, I'd like to make a couple of points. The mind goes back a couple of weeks ago when we had a debate on Times Now. When we discussed the sports minister, the union sports minister who landed up there, and he had so many apologists who turned around and said that he had gone there to ensure that we did so well. He motivated the team, he gave them inspiration, he gave them every kind of help possible.
He also got
in other words,
he also got their names wrong.
And one more person there was one Mr. Vij of Haryana,
yes,
who also defended him. There were 3 people on the panel who said, look at our sports minister, look what he is doing for the team, and how they will be successful, they'll be inspired. The bottom line is, if they do well, then the credit goes to the officials, the bureaucrats, the bosses. If they do badly, they're out there to take the blame.
Yeah,
I'd like to tell you that why is it that all Indian sports officials, most Indian sports officials, will take credit for all the good thing and put the blame on the athletes.
That's the point.
Gentleman on your panel just now, Captain Mohan, I'd like to tell you this. We have, year after year, we are winning medal, we are winning international championships, we are making world champion.
Captain
Never
Mohan,
has the Billiard Association said that we are responsible for it. They give to Advani, to people like Geet Sethi, to Manoj Kothari, all these people are given the credit, they are given the support, and they are given the inspiration. It doesn't need sports ministers.
You know, Kishore Bhimani, between September 2016 and December 2015, we've had about 11 months, and we have 2 reports in our hands today. One is the report prepared by the Sports Authority of India, one report prepared by the sportspersons and Olympians in India. Now, a report was prepared on the December 3rd, 2015, few months before the Olympics, prepared by the biggest sporting names in our country. And I want to bring in Captain PVK Mohan at this point. Captain PVK Mohan, are you aware of the report that was prepared in either December 2015 or the report prepared by Sai today? Are you aware of the contents? Captain Mohan?
Yeah,
I've
just got some briefs about the report that was submitted by Sai recently.
What about the one in December?
Yeah, the earlier report, yes, I am aware.
Do you know about what the sportspersons?
Yeah, the one in December talked about the prospects of the medal winners, and it also said most of the officials actually were hoping for a double-digit figure to be achieved at the Rio Olympics.
I want to bring in
because in London we had 6 medals. So they were all hoping with the top scheme.
So since you represent, since you're the president of the International Billiards and Snooker Federation, Captain Mohan, since you're the president of the International Billiards and Snooker Federation, and you claim on the show that you've seen the December 2015 report. Now I just want to ask you, now this is a report prepared by the sportspersons of India, leading sportspersons, eminent names like Ashwini Nachappa, who's on the show today. I want to ask you, because you represent a sporting body, from December 2015 until the Olympics contingent left India, what did you do as a sports administrator in India? I want you to answer Ashwini Nachappa and other sportspersons who tried to make sure that we get medals in Rio. Your answer, sir. Do you know about the report? What did you do for the last 281 days?
Yeah, first let me clarify that our sport is not an Olympic sport, and we had no role to play in the run-up to the Rio Olympics. And our sport, if it is there, we can guarantee medals for sure.
True. Captain Mohan, you are speaking of a federation which has the distinction of doing and producing, champions and good athletes year after year. Something similar to what is happening in badminton this time. But let me ask you this. So you spoke about the top scheme. Did you put your hand up and ask these people on what basis and who recommends people for the top scheme? Why is it that a Sakshi Malik, who eventually is a bronze medal winner, was never part of the top scheme? Aren't you worried what they are doing? Why is it that a Sushil Kumar, who was never going to be sent, was part of the top scheme, but a Narsingh Yadav, who was eventually sent and named, and it was decided in 2015 when he secured the qualification, was never part of the top scheme? So what top scheme are we talking about?
Yes,
why is it?
I
why
agree
is
with
it?
you totally. The top scheme has to be revisited, and it has to be revisited for sure. And there has to be fine tuning there. And I'd like to tell you one more thing. A lot of corporates, in fact, a lot of corporates today joined the bandwagon. A lot of them supported individual sports persons. But then this should all be streamlined into a position where this is all put into place in a planned
Sir,
manner.
here is one thing,
Great
Mr. Bowen.
Britain, for
Again,
example,
another aspect that you
won several
raised.
medals in cycling.
Another aspect that you raise, and I'm going to go across to Mr. S. Raghunathan in just a bit. But Ashish Balal, if corporates get in, and if corporates get to manage the athletes directly without the involvement of the federation, majority of the panelists, including you, will say we'll get more medals. If the federation doesn't medal, we will get more medals.
It's important that the corporates manage and administrate sports, but the technical aspect should be run by the athletes.
Captain Mohan and Raghunathan, just hold on, please. Captain Mohan and Raghunathan, hold on, please. Ashish Balal, go on. Ashish Balal, go on. Make your point.
Yeah, the technical aspect of the sport should be run and governed by athletes, former athletes, and technical experts, rather than.
Go ahead, Ashish. Go ahead, Ashish. There is a bit of a delay between our gentlemen, our guest joining us from Delhi and from Bengaluru. So we'll have to manage. Yes, Ashish.
Yeah, it's just that we need sound professional managers who administrate the sport. We need professionals. We got this system of honorary secretary, honorary president who do absolutely nothing, and there's absolutely no accountability at all. We need to have a CEO for every sport who can govern it professionally. Imagine the hockey team landing in the Olympics and not getting the kit there on time. You know, these are ridiculous things that we get to see.
Sir, that is called consistency in performance, Ashish Balal. You know, the teams and contingents not getting their kits is called consistency in performance. From Atlanta 1990 to Rio 2016, it has been something which is consistent. They do it with absolute precision. They do it, and they have done it even at the Paralympics, sir. They have done it even at the Paralympics, sir. They have done it with the Paralympics, sir. That's the only thing they are consistent as far as performance is concerned. Yes, Mr. Raghunathan.
See, but then why aren't we learning of this honorary system should go and paid and professional people should administer the sport?
Fair point, but yes, Mr. Raghunathan.
No, if we objectively look into the matter, a point was made just now that we have to have a long-term as well as short-term measures. SAI has gone into the performance in the recent Olympics and they have submitted a report. Most of them are very valid points. But what I suggest is we should look at the long-term perspective.
Correct.
As a point was made that we do not have sports culture. It is true our country doesn't have sports culture. It is also true the majority of our athletes come from the poorest section
how do you
of
expect,
society.
Mr. Raghunathan?
What happens is, by the time...
Yeah, Mr. Raghunathan, I was asking you, you speak about sports culture and you speak about long-term...
No, I'm saying by the time...
Yeah? No, okay, you complete your point and I'll ask you the follow-up question. Complete your point.
No, I'm telling you, by the time we identify athletes, they do not have that much of strength and stamina because the nutrition was very poor when they were young. And then,
so what have you done?
Improvement you
Let me ask you, Mr. Raghunathan. Sir, you've been you're former president of the Indian Kayaking and Canoeing Association.
Therefore, what needs to be done?
You didn't know this? No federation knows this.
And which we are
no federation knows this, sir. No sports authority DG ever knew about this since 1947 when the nation became independent, and since 1951. No sports authority DG, no federation official who's been at the helm has ever known this. My question to you, sir, is let's take kayaking and canoeing. How many non-army and non-armed forces personnel have actually come to the fore to take up this sport, sir? How many people have come? Where has kayaking and canoeing being promoted in India, sir?
No, let me make my point. Let me make my point. See, we need definitely long-term goal.
Sir, this long-term. Sir, my point is this long-term was spoken about in 2000, in 2004, in 2008, in 2012, and in 2016. It's the same broken record. My question to the federations today, sir, is what is it that you have done? Sir, what is it that you have done to promote your sport? What is it that you have done to promote the sport that you represent, sir? What is it that the current president of the Indian Kayaking and Canoeing Association has done to promote the sport, to make sure that there is not just one person from the army who comes from a drought-hit area who's being pushed into the sport, who represents our country in skulls? Where is the other representation, sir? Where is the other representation, sir? That is the performance report we need to know. What has each federation contributed in the last 4 years as qualifiers and medal prospects for the future?
I am giving you, you see, when in the last 4 years, you can see the performance of our athletes in kayaking, canoeing.
Yes.
We have not been winning medals in international level, but whereas we have gone up to today, Asian Games, we have won in Asian Games.
After how many years, sir? After how many years, sir?
Of medals.
After how many years, sir?
Target 2000.
After how many years, sir?
Sorry. See,
sir, did we not have kayaking and canoeing in the 2010 Commonwealth Games or at the Asian Games after that in Guangzhou?
Yeah, because they need 4,000 calories of.
If you talk about are you saying Mr. Raghunathan, you can't talk about nutrition. Are you saying okay, you talk about nutrition,
but that is not sufficient.
After all these years, you talk about nutrition. It's almost an elitist way of looking at it by saying those from the downtrodden, those who are downtrodden are not fit to be athletes in a country like India. Who's responsible for that?
My children do not go.
No, you spoke about nutrition.
They need nutrition.
Yeah, you spoke about nutrition. They need nutrition, but who's responsible for that? Have you seen the quality? Have you seen? Okay, on the show today, you know, Mr. Raghunathan, just listen to me 1 minute.
I think we're not going anywhere with this.
I'll make a small point. I'll make a small point. You know, Captain. You know what? Captain PVK Mohan on the show. Sir, 1 second, Mr. Raghunathan, listen to me.
We don't want to prepare ourselves.
I think everyone is becoming.
Sir, 1 second. All sports administrators have the same point. Sir, all sports administrators, Anand, on the show have 1 point. Please listen to me, sir. It's very simple. What are we talking about? We're talking about a 3-page report that is prepared by the Sports Authority of India for another debacle, right? We're talking about the report which blames athletes, which speaks about unfit, injured athletes, some of them who were sent, which speaks about foreign coaches and how foreign coaches need to be monitored by India. Well, I have administrators on the show, sports administrators, Mr. Raghunathan, Chandan Roy Chowdhury, Captain PVK Mohan. Mr. Raghunathan, let me make my point, sir. No, 1 second, sir. You're not letting me make my point. I am saying if all sports administrators say this needs to be done, that needs to be done. Sir, can I ask you a question? For how many years have you been associated with the Kayaking and the Canoeing Association, sir? For how many years have you been associated?
Last 10 years, and
yeah,
we have
10 years like Anand was asking the gentleman.
I have no doubt, you know, I have no hesitation.
No, sir, it's not about that. It's not about that. For 10 years you have been associated.
It is easy
no,
not
just that.
It's about what is
Mr. Raghunathan, you are sitting here on the Newshour tonight and saying that it requires 4,000 calories to train for kayaking and canoeing. But you tell me, last decade, how many times have you turned around and told Sai, this is where we need to spend money because I have identified this talent? How many times have you said that, and why is it that you haven't done that?
Why do you expect the federation only to feed?
Why are you sitting here if you believe as a federation you can't do it, sir? Make way for those who will. Why do you expect that it will be the armed forces that will care for those people and send army men every time, or navy personnel to represent kayaking and canoeing, while you as a former president or as an official would enjoy a free trip to Rio and have fun? How dare you, sir? And you are trying to tell me 4,000 calories of nutrition? Are you trying to say that an athlete doesn't know that, or a federation doesn't know that?
in fits and
If
starts.
you as a federation cannot provide that, you've got no business blaming the athlete. You've got no business turning around and telling them this is the reason you are not performing, because you as a federation are not bothered. You are telling me 10 years down the line, you're saying you're not being able to provide them nutrition.
I'm not saying we are not performing.
Yes,
I'm
Ashwini.
saying what needs to be done.
You are telling me that finally India is representing, is sending people in kayaking and canoeing at the Asian Games, and we should be proud of it after you being at the helm for 10 years. 10 years? 10 years and you can't get somebody, you have not got anybody beyond the armed forces?
There are people who've been there for 40 years.
Yes, Ashwini. Yes, Ashwini.
If the nation has...
Yes, Ashwini. So let's get them out now. The performance report has to be of these people. People like Mr. Raghunathan, Mr. Chandan Roy Chaudhary are the ones whose KRAs have to be looked up, whose performance has to be looked up, and not blame athletes saying that you sent subpar athletes or injured athletes.
It is easy to blame anyone.
Yes, that's what you also did just now. That's what you also did just now. It's very easy to blame the athletes. It's very easy to blame Sai, but it's very difficult to put your hand up and say, I'm also responsible. That's exactly what I'm trying to make you understand. And people like you understand, Mr. Raghunathan.
Mr. Raghunathan.
Yes, Ashwini.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
So let's talk about the report. So let's talk about the report. Let's come back to the report. One second, Mr. Raghunathan.
As a country,
1 second.
you can perform at certain
Sir, whether you like it or not. Sir, whether you like it or not.
I'm very clear about it. I'm not blaming anyone, nor am I saying that anyone has failed.
So let's come back to the point. And Ashwini, let's talk about the debate. Ashwini, let's talk about the debate and the point and the state of sports infrastructure. Please, let's come back to that. Yeah.
No, I think what we really need to understand is that the structure of sports is largely driven in our country by 5 pillars. One is the Sports Authority of India, which is the arm of the ministry. The other is the National Sports Federations, then comes the Indian Olympic Association, then comes the various state training centers in every state, and then the private academies and institutions. It is absolutely clear in the last couple of decades that there is no synergy between these bodies. As a parent and anybody who's watching the show,
we should sit together and prepare a long-term as well as short-term plan.
Sir, 10 years you've been associated with kayaking and canoeing, and you're talking now. Please, Mr. Raghunathan, allow Ashwini to speak. Allow Ashwini to speak, sir. Allow Ashwini to speak, sir. How many of these federations actually want to do what you're trying to do? Don't preach and sermonize today, sir, because you are guilty of not acting. Yes, Ashwini.
Each of these five pillars have a mandate.
No one is sermonizing.
Mr. Raghunathan, please calm down, Ashwini. Yes, Ashwini.
Let's come back to the point.
Stakeholders should
National
sit together.
Sports federations are to promote sports with their respective state and district sports federations. It doesn't happen. The Indian Olympic Association is supposed to spread the sports culture in our country. You tell me one instance in the Olympic year the Indian Olympic Association has conducted through its state bodies or by themselves any one program to promote Olympic movement.
It's not their job, Ashwini. It's the sports ministry and SAI which is supposed to do it. That's what they will say.
So
their job is to enjoy the free tickets and the dinners and the lavish fun and the fun. That's what. They're a bunch of freeloaders. They don't do anything.
These are the people who are supposed to manage sports and Sports Authority of India and this ministry are the facilitators to provide with whatever budget that they have got. But the very fundamental this thing is wrong, where the associations and the Olympic Association are doing nothing to promote sport. Now you talk about grassroots level sport. What has happened in every district? Has any of the district association produced? Every one of these athletes come. I mean, the Sports Authority of India report itself, I don't know which report you're talking about, but I have seen for myself, there is so much that needs to be done, and it cannot be done in one Olympic cycle. This needs a team that works on a long-term basis to see how we can restructure sports in our country.
The attitude, Rashmini, the attitude of sporting federations.
And I'm happy that the Prime Minister at least has the intent and has called in for a task force.
Kishore Bhimani.
The intent is there after so many decades.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ashwini, talk about this.
Come in.
Yeah, Kishore Bhimani, talk about this Olympics.
I'd like to...
talk about this Olympics. I just want to point out two instances. I want to point out two instances, Kishore Bhimani, and you come in. Look at what happened in this Olympics itself. Mr. Raghunathan.
You can go on blaming each and every one.
Sir, you can stay in denial. Mr. Raghunathan, I'm not here to fight with you. I'm here to place the facts. I'm here to place the facts, and please let Mr. Kishore Bhimani speak. Please let Mr. Kishore Bhimani speak. We've given you enough opportunity. We will come to you, sir. Mr. Raghunathan, please, I think you will. Yeah, Kishore Bhimani, talk about this Olympics and the attitude of the sports administrators. We've had enough of an embarrassment in Rio through our sports administrators.
Niranjan,
yeah, go ahead,
we have, if I may be allowed to speak.
Yes, please.
We have heard enough about nutrition, about organization, how good they are, what has been happening for 10 years and so on. What we really want to come back is to the 3-page report, which blames the athletes, which blames the coaches, but does not blame the associations. Associations do nothing to motivate. On Times Now, a while ago, I wanted to give the Australian example, who set up a unit whereby whether they are traveling to Munich, London or Rio, everything is far away. What they do is they take 20 or 30 business class seats and they allot them to those players who are going to, those athletes who are going to be early, which is usually swimming. And they tell us, the journalists tell us, that the expensive seats are given to those who can sleep on the long haul. Whereas our people sit, our officials, bureaucrats, ministers, they'll sit in business class and first class and let the athletes fend for themselves. This is the attitude that should have been mentioned in the 3-page report. Not nutrition, not what has been happening in the Canoeing Association for 10 years. It's totally irrelevant. Take a lesson from the Billiard and Snooker Federation of India. Do one track support of your sport. We will make the champions and they'll come out. This is missing. And the 3-page report misses.
And Mr. Kishore Bhimani, people like Captain PVK Mohan, it's a great argument, isn't it? Because you can be the president of the International Billiards and Snooker Federation and say there's nothing wrong with, my sport is not even there in the Olympics, but it is a fact that apathy towards our athletes, if you want, and somebody else spoke about, the fact that we need to have a program to woo the youth towards sports. How do you expect the youth to be drawn towards sports when just in 2016 at the Rio Olympics, I just want to point out to 2 or 3 instances, Indian hockey men's team missed the Olympic ceremony because their clothing, their kits did not fit some of the players. That's the hockey team. Some players served peanuts and there were reports that even beer was served. Beverages, peanuts, beer, beverages, but not food for the athletes in Rio at an event.
And organized by the Indian Embassy. Indian Embassy, independent celebration. They said don't have dinner at the Games Village. You come and attend the function, and there they were given peanuts for dinner. That's the state, Mr. Mohan, Captain Mohan. That's the state of affairs. That's the apathy that you see on ground. And you have a boxer who was almost disqualified because the women's team they had to beg for trainers, personal physios. They didn't get. Deepa Karmakar had a physio flown only when she qualified for the final. Do you know that, sir?
Yes, that's right.
That's the reality, sir.
And how do you expect youth to be drawn towards
So you will have to move beyond your billiards federation and do something about the other federations too, Captain Mohan. People like you and others who are sitting on the panel. And Mr. Raghunathan, the sports culture that we speak about, this is where it has to begin. Whether you like it or not, that is the truth.
Anand, may I come in here?
Yeah, Sadbin Jung, please come in.
Listen, Anand, we are going around this, we are beating about the bush, but just coming to the solution in different forms. Now the thing is that all these federations, like Ashwini has said earlier and the other, even Kishore has said, these federations are just not capable. The bureaucrats are not capable. But now look what the parliamentary committee does also. When the parliamentary committee goes ahead and starts investigating this issue, it comes up and says players should get involved. Come on, cricketers have proven that players are one of the most corrupt people who have absolutely no management skills. So to lead any sport body. So I think the panel before me was talking about
players, athletes, former Olympians getting involved is a far-fetched thought.
No, Anand,
you see what's happened to the boxing federation.
No, you have to listen.
No, I'm just saying this is a...
No, Anand,
yes, sir.
No, you have to listen.
Yes, sir.
Anand, listen.
Yes,
so as far as the players are concerned, the players are not capable. The people existing right now managing the sports authority are not capable. So why don't you bring in professionals? Why doesn't the parliamentary committee, or why doesn't the prime minister, or why doesn't someone at the top say, right, fine, 9 centers, 1 DG is required, bring in 10 professionals, let the vice captains be the bureaucrats. Within 4 to 8 years, we have...
Saad bin Jang, here's my problem. Saad bin Jang, here's my problem. Here's my problem. With coaches, they don't want to hire Indians. With coaches, our federations don't want to train former players and Indian coaches and make them world class. They want to pay dollars and tons of it for somebody who's a foreign national, but will not encourage your own local coaches. So the moment you make it professional, yeah, there is this obsession. There is this obsession with.
Talk about the
so the moment you say bring in professionals, all of those who actually want to do something for their sport in this country will get marginalized. That's the reality, sir. That's the sad truth. That's the sad truth, Saad bin Jang. And the moment you unseat any of these presidents, look at Athletics Federation, Ashwini Nachappa. Do you think anybody else aside of the current lot can ever dream of becoming presidents of the Athletics Federation? Is it possible? You know what will happen? It will go the boxing way.
You know better, Anand.
Between Olympics to Olympics, you will not have a federation.
No, but I am just...
That's the way it will go, Saad bin Jang. You see boxing...
Take the example...
Yes, Ashwini.
I know of the Australian swimming team.
Yeah.
They didn't perform up to the expectations, and the amount was spent on the Australian swimming team, and the entire team was the entire official federation was held accountable and was asked to step down till the inquiry was held. Why can't we hold our officials accountable?
Ashwini, there's not a word. There's not one word.
The athletes do account.
Ashwini, in this 3-page report that we've accessed, there's not one word.
That is my point. I would have loved to see where we have failed as a federation, as a Sports Authority of India, as sports persons. That is more relevant. It is not just putting the blame on the athletes. Of course, athletes must take the responsibility too. But what about the officials who select them? On what basis do they select them? How much money is spent on these athletes? What is the result? Is it result-oriented? Result does not mean winning medals. Medals is only a byproduct of the system that we have. But going to the Olympic Games is not mere participation. It is
Anand, I'd like to come in.
Yes, Captain Mohan.
An important point I'd like to make.
Yes, Captain Mohan.
Yeah, the one important point that I'd like to make, Anand, is there is a lot of money now that is corporates are willing to spend, and different sectors are willing to spend. All we need is a proper system to harness all this and get all the money spent in the right direction.
Here's the problem, Captain.
Whether it is nutrition, whether it is training,
Captain,
it can be foreign coaches, Indian coaches. Even the coaches can be sent for proper training.
No, not just that, Captain. The moment a corporate wants to come in and put money in a sport.
But we need to harness all this. And
no, if you can hear me, Captain.
For example, there is something called the All India Council of Sports.
No, Captain, this is a problem. The moment you want corporates to back a particular athlete or player or a particular sport, the federation gets in between. The federation says, you give us the money, we will dole out the riches. The federation says it has to go via us, because otherwise the officials will not get their cut. The officials will not be able to flex their muscle and get the athlete to beg and plead and say, I will give you because I like you, I will not fund you because I don't like you. That's what's happening. That's the reality, Ashwini. Isn't that the ugly truth here today?
Absolutely, absolutely.
No, those days are now going. Those days are now going. The corporates are smart. They know how to route their money.
Sir, they set up their own individual private organizations. They say, let's not work with the federations. Let's pick up talent, scout talent on our own, and let's send them. You know what corporates are doing today, Ashish Balal? What they are doing is they are scouting talent. They are picking them up. They are honing them. The moment they start winning medals, the federation backs them. That's what's happening. Correct me if I am wrong.
And look, the Olympic Gold Quest and the Jindal, the Tatas, they have been supporting athletes, and those athletes have been really doing well. They have been following and reviewing on a month-to-month basis and evaluating what needs to be done. Do they need specialized coaching? And this is the way forward. I think we need to identify the talent and follow their progress and review them. And if they need any extra help, they should be provided.
Ashish, that's one way of looking at it. And I want to bring in Chandan Roy Chaudhary here, who's the General Secretary, Bengal Olympic Association.
I agree totally with Ashish. I agree totally with Ashish.
Yeah, okay.
And the corporates are now smart. They do a lot of research. They know who to back.
So that
and
doesn't
they
mean
know
the government.
how their money is to
Captain
be spent.
Mohan, Captain
Unlike
Mohan,
the
that doesn't
government,
mean
which may be restricted within its ability to maneuver,
no, but
the corporates today have to play a big role in the development of sports
but
in
how
the
many
country.
corporates are backing
Otherwise,
young
you have a
athletes?
sports ministry. The entire budget of the sports ministry is 960 crores.
No, but
a country of 1.25 billion people, and the sports budget is only 960 crores.
Yeah, when you talk about the radical changes, when you talk about the radical changes, I know Chandan Roy Chowdhury, when you talk about the radical changes, you know, every report after every debacle has spoken about radical changes, Mr. Chandan Roy Chowdhury. What radical change as of today? And we have our research with us. We have gone through sports facilities, and I can point out one thing. I can point out 2 or 3 instances. I will point it out.
I'd like to point out.
Yeah, exactly. I will point it out, and I want you to respond. Talk about NIS Patiala.
I would like to
talk about NIS Patiala, the Mecca of Indian sports, called the Mecca of Indian sports. 268 acres.
That
3-time Commonwealth champion talks about NIS Patiala and says this. He says it's unhygienic, unacceptable. He feels bad for athletes who've had to stay there. This is in 2015. And you know what? I will just give you, I'll back it up with one more. Nehru Stadium, Delhi. Engineering marvel, sir, during the Commonwealth Games in Delhi. Worn out tracks, poorly maintained sports ground, miserable infrastructure. As of August 2016. Now, these are 2 of India's premier sports infrastructure facilities. Ashish, let him answer and I'll come to you next. Mr. Chowdhury, this is the state of Indian sports, and I can go on and on and on. Yeah, but who's responsible for this, sir? Administrators or athletes? Yeah, go ahead.
You are very much right. I also agree with you to some extent, because you said that regarding the coaches, that is very important that foreign coaches has no use of our players. I can give you one example, that is Dhatu Bhokanal, the rowing player, the sole rowing player who represented Rio Olympic. He had Indian coach till he qualified, and after the qualifying, they forced him to take the foreign coach, and which didn't come to any help to us. So I'll tell you that no use of blaming each other right now. I think the media can take a very important role in promoting sports.
Sir, more importantly, you as Honorary Secretary of Bengal Olympic Association can make a commitment on the Newshour tonight. Why don't you make a commitment?
No, let me finish.
Say that 2020 Tokyo Olympics, Bengal will have across how many disciplines qualifiers to the Olympics?
I'm not telling any particular media. I'm not telling any particular media.
I'm asking you, sir.
That today, after getting the medal, these players have been highlighted.
Why don't you start today, sir? You are Honorary Secretary, Bengal Olympic Association.
Our media has brought them.
Chandan Roy Chowdhury, why don't you put your hand up and say you will ensure that there are at least n number. You put a number. You choose the discipline and you choose the number in terms of qualifiers from Bengal.
We had 3 athletes this time in Rio Olympic. We had to ask one question to this panel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, come in. Saad, ask him your question.
No, listen, just one question.
Yeah,
to this panel, I just have one question. Just give me a minute. Just a second. Listen, all I want to ask, whether it is Ashwini or the rest of my panelists today that are debating this issue, just fixed answerability. Where does it start and where does it end? Please tell me today, before the show is over, who can I make answerable for the debacle of Indian sport? Tell me how far up does it go and how down does it go? Please answer that.
Ashwini.
All the 5 pillars that I named, whether there's the Sports Authority of India, whether it's the National Sports Federation, the Indian Olympic Associations, all the training centers, everybody needs to take accountability, and including the sports persons. I mean, you cannot just pinpoint at one organization and say only they are to be blamed.
Correct.
It is the entire system that needs to be revisited, and then we relook at it and start on a clean slate.
How do you handle this? If one person is not answerable.
Ashwini, exactly.
We need one person to be answerable. One person.
Exactly, and therefore it is necessary that we have a body that governs sports, which will be answerable for this.
Yeah,
right now we have too many people to be answerable.
No, right now we don't have. Right now, that's what Ashwini is saying, Sadbin Jung. We don't have a body which works with all these 5 pillars and answers. Today what's happening is one of the pillars, that is Sai, is turning around and pointing fingers at only one of the other pillars, that's the athlete. Okay, it's totally absorbed the federation, it's totally absorbed the training centers, and it's totally absorbed its own shortcomings. That's the reality today, and that's what we are trying to highlight. We are trying to say, before you point a finger at the athlete, you turn around and look at the other three fingers that are pointing back at you. That's not happening.
Anand, talk about the report. Talk about what the report said.
That's not happening. No, I'm just saying, see, every time we go across and look at these facilities at NIS Patiala, at any of these, the report has not yet been, the reality, Kishore Bhimani, is this report which Pulela Gopichand, Ashwini Nachappa and 2 or 3 other champions of our country have put together. This report has not yet been, there has been no action taken by 3 sports ministers. 3 sports ministers who have access to this report have not taken any action on this. They have not taken any action on this. Not a single note will go across to any of the federation officials. Kishore Bhimani, please tell me, how is it that it is an 85-year-old who was in charge of the athletics contingent?
If we look at the history of organized sport, these 3-page report which blames, for example, coaches. Today, Indian coaches like Pulela Gopichand, like the coach for Deepa Karmakar, these coaches have done wonderfully. Why is the name of a foreign coach ever used in this? Even take a cricket where Anil Kumble is doing a great job. We don't need distraction, diversionary tactics like this. Today, it is the different associations which have not played their part. They are held together, talking of pillars. The one pillar which is responsible for all this wrong, which is the Indian Olympic Association.
And Kishore Bhimani, and what is the final solution? You talk about coaches and you talk about sports administration, but at the end of this report, at the end of this 3-page report, which mostly talks about how we send a few injured players, how foreign coaches need to be monitored, especially for foreign coaches, and it talks about how some athletes...
Rubbish, absolute rubbish.
Yeah, it talks about how some athletes performed below par in terms of their personal best, talking about how athletes let down India. That's the argument made in this report. And towards the end of it, I just want to make 3 points. What this report says in sum and substance at the end of it, it says, 1, we may identify where we have very little presence and make sure that the objective is of participation through qualification. Here it says there would be no medal hope in this category barring some freak performances. We're still talking about bottom of the barrel sort of ideas to somehow get to qualifying and get medals. We're still talking about how we need to make sure that we find out disciplines where our effort will be on progression. We're still talking about how the final category would be medal-focused disciplines. Throughout this report, not once does it say, in the next 4 years, we will put all our forces behind our athletes and make sure that the existing infrastructure is made so good that we produce medal winners. We have not set targets. We're still talking about bottom of the barrel sort of. Yeah, exactly. Because we have the potential, but we won't talk about it. We won't mention it because, of course, athletes are responsible.
Yes, Captain. Yes, Captain.
Instead of bringing coach from the abroad,
I'd like to make a point. This 3-page report that you're referring to is at best an approach paper. It's at best an approach paper for the government. I'm sure there'll be a lot of deliberations that will take place. And now that the Prime Minister has announced a task force, hopefully
that's the sad part, sir. There were deliberations which took place after Beijing. There were deliberations which took place after Sydney. There were deliberations which took place after London.
Into contributing to something that will change the sports culture of this country.
Sir, let me sum up the performance report of the federations and the authorities. Bishweshwar Nandi today has taken Deepa Karmakar to a level beyond which he needs somebody else.
Absolutely.
Beyond which he needs somebody else. Bishweshwar Nandi needs to go back and bring up more talent to the level of Deepa Karmakar. But the problem today is Bishweshwar Nandi does not know whether he can let go of Deepa Karmakar, and Deepa Karmakar does not know who to latch on to if Bishweshwar Nandi is going to go and bring us more gymnasts. Similar case with Pulela Gopichand. That's the state of affairs in our country, and our federations are least bothered. I thank you all for joining me on this debate. Thank you very much.